Hey guys, this is Faye James. So today we are going to talk about something about Einstein. So let's go. So who is Einstein? Okay, let's take a look at it. According to Wikipedia, Einstein, his full name is Jeffrey Edward Einstein. He was born on January 12th, 1959. And he died on August 10th, 2019. He was an American financier and child sex offender who was indicted for sex trafficking, but died before his trial. He began his professional career as a teacher, being hired without a degree at the Delta School. After his dismissal from the school in 1976, he entered the banking and finance sector, working at Bear Stearns in various roles before starting his own firm. Einstein made much of his fortune by providing tax and estate services to billionaires, and cultivate an elite social circle. He produced underage girls and young women who were sexually abused by him, and allegedly some of his associates. In 2005, police in Palm Beach, Florida began investigating Epstein after a parent reported that he had sexually abused her 14-year-old girl. Federal officials identified 36 girls whom Einstein had allegedly sexually abused. Einstein maintained that he believed the girls were over 18. In 2008, he pleaded guilty to procuring one teenage child for prostitution and of soliciting a prostitute, and was convicted by a Florida state court as part of a plea deal. He registered as a sex offender and served 13 months in custody, which included extensive war release. Foreign renowned media interest in allegations against Epstein, and Virginia Griffiths claims that Epstein ran a sex trafficking ring for powerful men. Epstein was arrested again in July of 2019 on federal charges of sex trafficking, related to the same period as his first conviction. An internal FBI memo released in 2026 states that investigators were unable to find corroborating evidence of an alleged trafficking ring. Griffith's allegations was not attended to by other victims, and he described her accounts as inconsistent. Beginning in 2014, Griffith alleged that Epstein trafficked her to Alan Darcy's for rape on six occasions, but he retraced this claim in 2022. In 2019, Griffith alleged Epstein trafficked her to the Prince Andrew and John Bureau, with both men denying her allegations. So let's take a look at his earlier life. Jeffrey Edward Einstein was born on January 12th, 1953 in Brooklyn. His parents, Pauline Paula Stofsky and George Epstein, were Jewish and had married in 1952, shortly before his death. The families immigrated from Poland and Belarus, then parts of the Russian Empire, to the United States in the 1920s. 1910s, Pauline worked as a school aide and a homemaker. His father worked for the New York State Department of Parks and Recreation as a groundskeeper and gardener. Einstein was the older of two siblings. He and his brother Mark grew up in the neighborhood of Seagate, a private gated community in Coney Island. A childhood friend described Paul as a wonderful mother and homemaker, and neighbors remembered their parents as being quiet and humble. Einstein attended local public schools, first attending public school 188 and then Mark Twain Junior High School nearby, and usually earned money by tutoring classmates. Acquaintances consider Einstein sweet and generous, although quiet and nerdy, and nicknamed him Epi. Of Epstein, a female friend later said he was just an average boy, very smart in math, slightly overweight, freckles, always smiling. In 1967, Einstein attended the National Music Camp as an influential singer for the arts. He began playing the piano when he was 5 and was rewarded as a talented musician by friends. He graduated in 1969 from Lafayette High School at age 16. Having skipped 2 grades, later that year, he attended advanced math classes at Cooper Union until he changed colleges in 1971. From September 1971, he attended the Concord Institute of Mathematical Sciences at New York University, where he studied mathematical philology, but left without receiving a degree in June 1974. So let's take a look at his career. At age 12, whoa. Oh, okay. Just look at this. At age 21, Einstein started working as a physics and mathematics teacher for teenagers at Dalton School on the Upper East Side of Manhattan in September 1974. Donald Barr, who served as a headmaster until June 1974, was known to have made several unconventional recruitments at the time. Although it's unclear whether he had a direct role in hiring Epstein. 3 months after Barr's departure, Einstein began to teach at the school despite his lack of credentials. One former student alleged in 2019 that Einstein showed inappropriate behavior toward underage female students at the time, paying them constant attention, and even showing up at the student party. Other former students also often saw him flirting with female students. Eventually, Epstein became acquainted with Alan Greenberg, a chief executive officer of Bear Stearns, whose son and daughter were attending the school. Greenberg's daughter, Lynn Campbell, pointed to a parent-teacher conference where Einstein influenced another Dalton parent into advocating for him to Greenberg. In June 1976, Einstein was dismissed from Dalton for poor performance. Greenberg offered him the job at Bear Stearns. Einstein joined the company in 1976 as a low-level junior assistant to a floor trader. he swiftly moved up to become an options trader, working in the special production division, and then advised the bank's well-list clients on tax mitigation strategies. James Kane, the bank's later CEO, praised Einstein's skill with wealthy clients and complex products. In 1980, Einstein became a limited partner. In 1981, Einstein was asked to leave for a rank violation, according to his own testimony. Einstein remained close to Kane and Greenberg and was a client of Bear Stearns until its collapse in 2008. And then he became a financial troubleshooter. In August 1981, Einstein founded his own consulting firm, International Assets Group Inc., which assisted clients in recovering stolen money from fraudulent brokers and lawyers. Einstein described his work at the time as being a high-level bounty hunter. He told his friends that he worked sometimes as a consultant for governments and the very wealthy to recover embezzled funds, while at other times he worked for clients who had embezzled funds. Spanish actress and heiress Anna was one such wealthy client whom Einstein helped in 1982 to recover her father's millions in lost investments, which had disappeared when government securities collapsed because of fraud. In the mid-1980s, Einstein traveled multiple times between the United States, Europe, and the Middle East, while in London, Einstein met Stephen Hofbauer. They had been introduced through Douglas Leslie, the defense contractor, and John Mitchell, the former U.S. Attorney General. An anonymous source met with Einstein and Leslie as early as 1981. Einstein also stated to some people at the time that he was a CIA intelligence agent. Hofbauer said in 2020 that he had introduced Einstein to Robert Maxwell. During the 1980s, Einstein possessed an Austrian passport that had his photo but with a false name. The passport showed his place of residence as Saudi Arabia. During this period, one of Einstein's clients was the Saudi Arabian businessman, who was the middleman in transforming American weapons from Israel to Iran as part of Iran-Contra affair in the 1980s. Well, I'm not going to tell you something about his careers because it's too long. So just let's take a look at these news reports and see what he has done to the West. Okay. Einstein files fallout takes down elite figures in Europe, while U.S. reckoning is muted. The contrast is striking. In Europe, some people whose names come up in the Epstein files are facing consequences, but in the U.S., not so much. European royals, government officials, politicians, and others are losing their jobs and titles over their connection to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. European law enforcement agencies are opening investigations based on recent 12 documents released by the U.S. government. Prominent Americans with parallel ties to Jeffrey Epstein, including President Trump and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, have so far largely kept their positions of power. Epstein also associated with Democratic politicians and academics, including former President Bill Clinton. While appearing in the Epstein files is not necessarily part of wrongdoing, for Europeans it's been very humiliating to see their rich and famous humbling with Epstein, a fake American billionaire and convicted sex trafficker of minors, Sir Richard Penner, a professor at the University of Minnesota Law School, who served as the chief assistant lawyer to President George W. Bush. But in the U.S., Penner says the connection between the money and politics can show some of those named in the files. You have got this massive amount of money in politics, so the billionaire class is definitely going to want to be protected, he said. Neither the White House nor the Department of Commerce have responded to a request for comment. In the United Kingdom, former Prince Andrew was stripped of his royal titles and forced to move out of the royal estate. That was over claims that Andrew, as he is known, had sex with teenage girls, which he has denied during his visits with Epstein. Now, with the latest release of files, the former prince faces the investigation by British police over claims that he shared confidential trade information with Epstein in 2010. King Charles, his brother, is ready to support investigators' Buckingham policy, said in a statement sent to news outlets this way. Others in the UK have faced consequences not for allegations of sexual misconduct, but for being too friendly with Epstein. Peter Mandelson, a prominent Labour Party figure and Britain's ambassador to the US, stripped of his position in September and resigned from the House of Lords earlier this month. He now faces a criminal investigation after new files suggest he received payments from Epstein and shared government documents. For a while, Prime Minister Starmer faced calls to step down over his continued support for Manson. Starmer earlier this month apologized to Epstein's victims. None of us knew the depth and darkness of their relationship, he said of Manson's titles to Epstein. In countries such as Britain, with a parliamentary system, leaders are more vulnerable to calls to resign from political opponents or even members of their own party. Pelter noted that leaders in the United States ultimately the parliament, the legislature calls their shots, and then members of the legislature are vulnerable to be voted down in the next election. He said, there is more accountability to the public. So what about Trump? Trump is so one insulted from political pressure. President Trump was a longtime friend of Epstein and appears frequently in the released documents from the late financial estate. Trump and the White House have both consistently denied any wrongdoing. Still, because he is in his second term and is constitutionally prohibited from running for re-election, he is shielded from some accountability, according to Penner. Recently, Trump's billionaire commerce secretary previously had said he had very limited interactions with Epstein, a New York City neighbor, after visiting his townhouse in 2005. But this way, at the Senate hearing, he acknowledged that he and his family traveled to Epstein's private island in 2012. Penner also criticized Attorney General Pam Bondi for selectively releasing parts of the Epstein files, despite bipartisan legislation passed by Congress, which orders the full release of the documents. In her opinion, remarks at continuous House Judiciary Committee hearing on Wednesday, Bondi said she was deeply sorry for what any victim had gone through, but she avoided apologizing directly to several of the victims in the room as